All right, all right. This is another Psychology of Women and Gender. This is chapter 8 and 9. And we're looking at is gender, ability, and work. So this is within the fields of the work placement and their ability. At the same time, if you're just interested to just look at the slides and read it yourself, you can go ahead and mute my voice. That's why we're going through this review, so that way we can able to understand more about this chapter of the Philology of Women and Gender, and so on and so on. So if you're probably wondering about links, I'll leave them right in the description. And if there's any like things of clips at all, they're probably gonna be on the playlist on Angler Super 11, so that way you could see the YouTube videos of what the chapter's all about. All right, so let's get on with this. This is slide is intelligence. It's basically within the gender's intelligence. It talks about everything you need to know about what studies have they seen from rather it's verbal math and their skills. Okay, the next slide. Then you have the virtual intelligence, which is basically, everything you need to know, which has like visuals, and has the other one where there talks about the differences in performance. So if you're interested to read this, you can go ahead and pause and read it through it. All right, the next one. Then you have chapter, I guess, 9, women in work. So looks like there's good like 2 chapters in this, and you could see the difference in the conditions, how they work. I don't think there's any link to these, or also I'll put it in there. The powerful women, you can see how powerful women and how they're perceived by society. You see research also that showed from that perspective, and then looks at this small example here, how dressed differently. I don't think there's any like in tags for those, so we can go ahead and move forward. Then we have leadership in the classroom. Of course, you have the data shows from each perspective, from the percentage of all the totals of employees for different outcomes. So you're welcome to take a look at this as well. Then you have this one, which is, are we making any progress? You see the chart right here of the example, the progress from 1970 all the way to 2014 of the progress that was made. And this source came out in 2016, so it's really back. Women in work, you could see this just talks about exactly what you're expecting, including the example, what explains the difference in their salaries by showing themselves. And then we got pay equal and the wage gap, which is differences. You also have a YouTube thing in there. You could see it on Angular Super 11, and you can also look in within this. Okay. Then we have equal pay and the wage gap once again. Men, women, that's the example, and the wage gap if each percentage, so on from this type of slide. And looks like this one has notes. You have equal pay or pay equally and the wage gap from this slide's what it's talking about from the motherhood perspective. And then we have notes here. Follow along, give you time. You have this one first, and then you see the second one, and then you have this one too as well. So there looks like there's no more, so you could able to pause through the video to know what they're about, so on, so on. More notes here. Equal pay once again. Research on women in multiple roles. You can see from that, from point perspective, and how it's happening. Then right here, the top one, give you time, and you can also pause it as we go through. And it looks like that's about it for this notes. All right, next slide. Work and family issues. This happens a lot. There's charts between wives and husbands, housework, paid work, each, etc., etc. Got to end between the male and female, whoever stays home, that can end up happening, etc., etc. Okay. And then of course we have this one. There's a bunch of links that I'll leave on the description for that video. You can also see that there is more that talks about it, and there's also another link that I couldn't able to add in the slide, but I was able to add the notes. I'll also leave that in the description in the video, so you could check those out and research more within this. And then we have this one, of course, the sexual harassment in workplace. There's clips that will be on YouTube on the playlist, so you'll be able to see exactly what these are talking about for this particular slide. All right. Then we have discrimination in the workplace. This happens a lot, don't mind me. This was mostly among from the I think 1986 to 71. This was really back then, and sometimes it could continue happening, but depending on the situation, this site's gonna need to know what's gonna be saying through this and how you can learn more about it. Then you have this one too from chapter 8. This is gender and gap in STEAM. So basically, this one's most likely going to show exactly what you need to know about this particular area. And they have reports they're putting in there, and they have what you're seeing from their other careers and experiences, etc., etc. Right. And this one, it's another more of discrimination work. You can tell they actually add notes here, and there's a more that talks about within the percentage and so on from this particular point of view, and goes through mostly what you need to know and what's expected. All right, so I don't think there's any more here, so stay tuned for more chapters. I'll be seeing what I can do from here on out, and then we'll see what happens after that. So again, stay tuned for anything else, and that's about it.